billionaire, scientist, Olympic athlete, Nobel Prize winner, primate enthusiast, Grand Poobah of the Majestic 12. He knows Kung Fu. Possible time traveler, undercover boss legend. Maybe he's an alien, maybe it's Maybelline. Hey everyone, I'm Brent the Middleman, your middle-aged middle manager in Middle America, here today with a video all about the most mysterious character in a show full of mysterious characters. If you couldn't tell by the title of the video, or the title card, or the teaser at the beginning, we are going to take a closer look at the patriarch of the Umbrella Academy, Sir Reginald Hargreeves. Please remember to like and subscribe if you are enjoying my videos and don't want to miss the next one. And here is your 2 minutes too late spoiler warning for all things Umbrella Academy. So grab your rubber mask, put on your top hat and monocle, adopt some weird kids, and let's get to it. Sir Reginald Hargreeves, also known as the Monocle in the Umbrella Academy comic book the show is based on, is one strange and fascinating character. He is not only the founder of the Umbrella Academy, but as I mentioned up front, he is also a billionaire, an Olympian, a Nobel Prize winner, a member of secret societies, possibly immortal, oh, and yes, he is an alien. Reginald arrived in America in the 1920s from parts unknown. In Season 1, we see that he purchased an umbrella store upon his arrival. We are also shown a flashback to his home on what appears to be another world. He is taking care of a dying woman who looks a lot like Grace, his lab assistant from the 60s, and the basis for the mom bot he builds to raise the children, because as we learn in Season 2, he cannot stand kids. We also see him releasing some kind of light energy from a jar out into the sky while rockets are taking off in the distance, which seems to imply that this world he is on is in big trouble. The stuff in the jar looks a lot like the energy that Vanya taps into to use her powers, and like the power she breathes into Harlan after he drowns in the pond. We also see Reginald with a violin, which is the instrument he gives Vanya to play after making her believe she has no powers. Of course, she then uses the violin in combination with her powers to blow up the moon and cause Armageddon, but that's something for another video. Also, her superhero name in the comics is the White Violin. This energy jar moment from Season 1, along with seeing Vanya's powers in Season 2, seems to imply that this other world Reggie is from may have something to do with the 43 unexpected births and kids with powers. Hopefully we get a Season 3 so we can learn more about this connection, and if you have any theories about it, please leave them in the comments. In the 1960s, we see that Reginald was involved with a secret group known as the Majestic 12. We are shown Reginald and Grace's experiments on a young Pogo, the chimp butler from Season 1 who took care of the kids and the Academy house. In these scenes, we can see members of the Majestic 12 in the background, most notably the chain-smoking man in a black suit with a hat and sunglasses, who is very reminiscent of the smoking man from the X-Files, who, by the way, was also involved in the Kennedy assassination. We see that Reginald sent Pogo into space, possibly to try and advance human spaceflight so he could send Luther, aka Number 1, to the moon years later. On his return to Earth, Pogo was badly injured and Reginald and Grace had to give him a shot. The shot seemed to contain human DNA because from that point on, Pogo started to take on human characteristics. This also ties back to Luther, since Luther was also given a shot to save his life by Reginald, but Luther's shot must have contained ape DNA because after that point, Luther started to take on ape characteristics. In the original timeline we see in Season 1, it seems Grace and Pogo stayed with Reginald until at some point Grace passed away. Then, in 1989, Reginald heard of the 43 children born all around the world to mothers who showed no sign of pregnancy, and he raced to adopt as many as he could. He was able to adopt 7 of them, and it was those kids who became the Umbrella Academy. At some point, Reginald also created a humanoid robot who he made to look like Grace, and he had this robot raise the kids. They even all refer to her as Mom, with Diego having the strongest connection, which borders on creepy. At the beginning of Season 1, we are told that Reginald had committed suicide, and it is this event that brings all the kids back together. Reginald was not a great father, and he treated the kids more like lab experiments than like family. He gave them numbers instead of names, and the numbers corresponded to their usefulness, aka their loyalty to him. They did not start going by their real names until after they left the academy in an attempt to try and have somewhat normal lives. The only one who did not go by an actual name is number 5, because he screwed up while time traveling and ended up trapped in an apocalyptic wasteland for like 40 years. You know, that old story. This corresponded to 16 years in real time, since he managed to jump back to 2019 when the kids had gathered back at the house. But due to a rounding error, his old man brain ended up back in his teenage body. Which doesn't sound so bad until you realize he has a major drinking problem, PTSD, and an unhealthy relationship with the upper half of a mannequin. Oh, and he is a homicidal maniac due to his time as a paid killer for the Temporal Commission, which is responsible for maintaining the main timeline. In the comics, the Temps Commission actually experiments on number 5, giving him the DNA of all the worst killers in history, literally making him a homicidal maniac. They left this out of the show, but I will cover it in a future video about number 5. After adopting 7 of the 43 surprise babies, Reginald did what any ageless billionaire from another planet would do. He trained them to be superheroes and sent them out on missions against grown-up bad guys. Sounds like excellent parenting to me, but this carelessness did lead to number 6 Ben getting killed, and number 1 Luther getting so badly injured that only making him part ape kept him alive. This did conveniently match up nicely with Luther's powers though, which include super strength, the ability to take damage, and jumping high in the air. He's kind of like Wonder Woman if she let herself go and decided to not shave before Burning Man. That covers everything we know about Sir Reginald Hargreeves based on what we learned in Season 1. But thankfully, the Umbrella Academy had a Season 2, and the events of that season not only gave us a lot more information about Reggie's life prior to becoming Dad of the Year, but it also may have altered everything we watched in that first season. We see the kids act like bumbling idiots for years during the 1960s, changing countless major and minor events, with Diego intentionally trying to alter one of the biggest events in the history of the world by attempting to prevent the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. But the dumbest thing we saw them do is track down Reggie. The first encounter with him is when number 5 and Diego got to Reginald's Umbrella Academy offices in Dallas, which they quickly found by looking in the phone book. I'm not exactly sure how, but Reggie seemed to be prepared for them. While 5 is inside getting bit by the younger version of kind old Pogo, Reggie is outside kung fu fighting with Daddy Issues McGee, aka Diego. 60 years after arriving in the United States, Reginald is easily able to hold his own against the much younger but much dumber Diego. Reggie even pulls off a sick Matrix slow-motion backbend dodge and then knocks Diego out when he realizes he is fighting his father and gets distracted. Reginald slowly walks away like the badass he is, and Pogo busts through a glass window, lands right next to him, and takes Reggie's hand. Yeah, total boss move. Then, after a couple of other quick encounters with the kids calling him Dad, capped off by number 5 quoting lines from the Odyssey in Latin to him, Reginald decides to track them all down and invite them for a light supper. At the supper, they tell him all about getting adopted in 1989, the other babies, and the apocalypse. They also demonstrate their powers for him, but more importantly, they demonstrate how dysfunctional and crazy they all are. Reggie does get a chance to have a drink and chat with number 5, who tells him about his time travel issues. Reginald gives 5 some sage advice, which ends up saving everyone later on. Like in the first season, this was another moment where it seemed to be implied that Reginald has some experience with time travel. It may just be his scientific mind, but I have a feeling we will see Reginald use his time travel knowledge in Season 3. After the meeting, number 2 Diego, who really hates Reginald, finds Grace waiting in the car, and he warns her that Reggie is involved in some pretty bad things with some pretty bad people. This quick comment led to Grace looking into what Reggie was up to and then leaving him. It seems obvious that she also took Pogo with her, thereby destroying the weird but sweet little family Reggie had made for himself. It is important to note that this did not happen in the original timeline, since Diego was not there to warn Grace. It is also safe to say that it was this light supper that really screwed things up for the Umbrella Academy heroes and changed Reginald's future, possibly for the better. But we will look at that in just a moment. After the supper, Reggie uses the information he has to plant a decoy of himself at the site of the Kennedy assassination. Can I also just say that it is so refreshing to see Reginald employ an older gentleman? Definitely beats being a greeter at Walmart. However, despite Reggie's trickery, he is surprised to see that Kennedy was still assassinated. This showed him that his secret group, the Majestic 12, went behind his back to pull off the killing. I mean, if you can't trust the shady guys in your super secret organization, then who can you trust? Apparently, Reggie didn't know this was part of their plans all along, so he does what any leader of a super secret organization would do. He calmly removed his Reginald Hargreeves mask, hangs it on a chair, and proceeds to murder his whole crew. Thankfully, we are shown a quick glimpse of the back of Reginald's head, and he definitely has the classic alien lizard look. Despite being shown in Season 1 that Reggie is from another world, and quite a few other clues being dropped throughout the series, this moment was the definitive proof that Reggie is not only an alien, but he doesn't even look human. It also makes me wonder if he does his own makeup and mask work, or if he has a person hidden somewhere who helps him. This did answer one big question, but it also raised a ton of others, at least for me. I also want to point out that in the comics, this reveal happens really early on in the story. It's a very similar scene, however, with Reggie taking off the mask and hanging it on a chair. I love that they kept the imagery from the comic, and I'm also okay with it being revealed in Season 2. If you are a casual fan of the show and have never read the comics, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this reveal and the timing of it in the comments section below. Thanks. After Reggie goes all ack on the Majestic 12 and the gang saves the world from another apocalypse, number 5 then gets them all together to jump back to 2019. Everything seems great as they appear in the main hall of the Umbrella Academy house, but it doesn't take long, however, for them to realize that something is different. For one, there was a portrait of Ben above the fireplace mantle, the spot where number 5's portrait used to hang after he vanished all those years ago. For two, Reginald Hargreeves is alive and sitting at the table. It's from there that he tells them, "I've been expecting you." For 3, he also tells them that there is no Umbrella Academy, that this house is for the Sparrow Academy. And for 4, after Reggie breaks this news, we see a group of people, which includes a floating, glowing green cube, gather at the top of the staircase behind a very much alive Ben, who has decided to embrace his inner emo. Unfortunately, we do not get a good look at who is on the team, but it is pretty obvious that none of the original Umbrella Academy kids are a part of it. Well, except for Ben, of course. It appears that Reginald was not too impressed with the team when he met them in the 60s, so in 1989, when all the magic babies were born, Reginald adopted 6 different children and baby Ben. I believe Ben was still chosen because Reggie never actually met him in the 60s. If you recall, Ben was just a ghost at the time, and Klaus was refusing to let Ben take over his body. This also raises the question, are there other versions of the original 6 walking around in 2019 somewhere, just like there are 2 Bens now, one in ghost form and one in emo form? I guess we will find out next season. I'm really happy that Season 3 should have a living Reginald Hargreeves leading an alternate timeline team of superheroes against his original timeline team of superheroes. I wonder if the Sparrows will be just as dysfunctional as the Umbrellas. I have a feeling they won't be, because Reggie will have seen what will happen if he follows his instincts in raising them, and he may have even pulled a George Costanza and just started doing the opposite of his first instinct. Oh, and we better get an all-out superhero battle in the first episode of Season 3, similar to the beginning of Season 2. Otherwise, I will totally ask Netflix for my money back. Oh, who am I kidding? I'll keep watching and probably love all the creative choices, and then make weekly breakdown videos about it. I do think there will be a battle though, and I can't wait to hear what song they set the fight to. Alright, I veered a bit off topic, but that's because we've come to the end of everything I know about Sir Reginald Hargreeves. As always, please leave your thoughts and theories about this kung fu monocled Martian in the comments, and let me know any facts about the billionaire bad boy that I may have missed. Also, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my Umbrella Academy videos I will be posting between seasons. Once again, I'm Brent the Middleman, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.